Welcome to the Fitness Beginner Podcast, where we help you take the first steps on your fitness journey. Whether you're new to working out or you're looking to get back into it, we've got you covered with tips, tricks, and inspiration to help you reach your goals. So grab your workout gear and let's get started. All right, and we are live. Welcome back with Murphy Mac to another episode of the Fitness Beginner Podcast. It's Monday. Y'all know what it is. Beginning of the week. If you want to have a successful week this week, you got to start it off on Monday. So I hope y'all did something today to set yourself up for the rest of the week. But if you didn't, hey, it's not too late. You still got the rest of the week to get after your goals, start working on that dream that you got going. So today we got a more of an educational style podcast today. We're going to talk about open chain versus closed chain movements when it comes to fitness and working out. Yeah, it's going to be probably not as long as the podcast today, but that's okay. We still going to get on here and drop some value for y'all, and hopefully y'all learn something about some movements y'all doing in the gym that you may not even realize that you're doing, but you're already doing it. Pretty much every workout has either an open chain or closed chain aspect to it, but you may not understand which one is which. So that's what we're gonna get in today. I'm gonna try to explain to y'all the best that I can over my voice. You know, it's kind of hard not to show you what I'm talking about, but as long as you understand the workouts and exercises, you'll get what I'm saying. But before we do that, y'all know I gotta update you about myself. Had a good workout session this weekend. We did super long bike on Saturday and a super long run on Sunday. Both my personal longs so far. And then this coming up weekend, I'll do even further than those two. So those will be my furthest so far. I'm starting to see some really good progress in my Ironman training, which I'm very excited about. But at the same time, I'm losing a lot of my gains that I worked so hard for in the gym. So it's kind of messing with my head a little bit because I'm getting very, very weak. Like I just got back from the gym about an hour or two ago, and I try to just do a light strength training workout, just something quick to keep my body in that workout mode. And I've gotten so weak. Like I can't even do 10 pull-ups anymore. It's not it's not even funny. I'm barely on incline press. I try to do 185. I can only do it like 4 times. So I don't know. It's kind of messing with me. I'm getting weak, but it's all good. I know that's part of the process. And strength is not my goal right now. My goal is to complete the Ironman. So that's what my mind's on. I got my mind on the mission, is what I like to say. And I'm doing good for that. Like I'm setting myself up right and feeling more and more confident every day. So we're doing good there. But can't wait to be able to get back in the gym and pump some iron like I'm used to, fall back to my roots. But for now, I got about 3 more months until the Ironman, and it's gonna be all worth it in the end. I already know. It's already been so like self-satisfying already. So I know when I cross that finish line, it's gonna be all worth it in the end. But yeah, enough about me. Let's hop into the quick tip of the podcast. And today's quick tip is when you're starting something new, mainly like your fitness journey, since this is a fitness podcast, we'll use a fitness journey as your example, but it really goes for anything in life that you're trying to do new or something different that you're trying to do. You got to start with small steps. So like make one change at a time, only one. Make that one change. And then once you can get consistent with that one change, then you can start adding another change, and then get consistent with those 2 changes, and then you can add another one. And this is how you just stack little wins on top of each other and how you become successful over time. Because, for example, if you want to start losing weight and you haven't been going to the gym at all, don't try to go to the gym 5-6 days a week, because you're not going to do it. You may do it for a week, 2 weeks, maybe even 3 weeks. And then after that, you're probably going to fall off. So start with one step of just going to the gym maybe twice a week. Start small, add that. And once you can go twice a week, then hey, maybe later on you can go 3 times a week, then maybe go 4 times a week. Don't try to do too much. And don't try to cut all your junk food out at once. If you're eating ice cream every day, don't try to go completely cut ice cream out of your diet, because you're probably not going to do it. It's not going to be sustainable for you. So cut it back. Instead of having 5 days a week, eat it 4 days a week or 3 days a week. So just cut little things back at a time so you can have that constant progress, not just cutting it cold all at once. I mean, some people can do that and see success in it, but most people end up relapsing after a while, and it's not successful. So Pick one thing, work on that one thing until you get good at it, until you get consistent with it, and then add another thing until you get consistent with that, and then add another thing and another, and that's how you will be successful over time. And this works for anything. I'm bad about eating junk food, so I've had to cut back my junk food. Instead of grabbing the whole bag of what I'm going to eat, I'll just take a handful out or take a bag worth out, like a little bowl's worth out, and then eat that. That's kind of how I tone it back. So I'm not going to tell myself, hey, I'm going to completely cut out snacks or junk food altogether, because I know that's not realistic for me. Like I'm going to snack. So what I do instead is I'll put it in like a separate bowl and then eat what's in that bowl. And then when that's done, that's it. That's all I get. So that way I can still have my fun foods, but I can still hit my goals at the same time. And that's how I stay consistent. So that's my little tip. Just do a little bit at a time. Don't try to do too much because it's not going to be sustainable. All right. So we're going to hop into the main segment of the podcast today. And the main segment is open chain movements versus closed chain movements. And we're going to talk about like what they are, some examples of them, and how you can use them in the gym to benefit you and to use them for your specific goals. So what is that open chain movement? The definition of an open chain movement is in open kinetic chain exercises, the segment furthest away from your body, known as the distal aspect. So distal is distal, distal. The distal aspect, which is usually your foot or your hand. So normally your foot or your hand, it is free and it is not fixed to an object. So that's an open chain movement where your hands and feet, your distal aspects can move freely. I know this probably don't make any sense to you, but I'm gonna give you an example and I'm gonna walk you through it so it does. So a closed chain movement is the opposite of that. It's where your distal movement is in a fixed position or it's stationary. So your hands or feet are stationary. That is a closed chain movement. So think open chain. So I'll give y'all some examples to kind of clear it up some. So when you think of open chain, you want to think your hands or your feet are moving because they're the furthest away from you. So think of a bicep curl. Your hand is moving. You're moving at one point at your elbow. So your hand's moving at the axis of your elbow. So your arm's moving. Your furthest point away from you is moving. Or think of a leg curl. Your legs is moving. Your legs is curling. And your body's kind of in a stationary position. Think of raising your arms above your head while you're sitting in a chair. It's like a shoulder press or shoulder extension. Your body is kind of stationary and your arms are what's moving. So basically think of like when your limbs move, that's open chain. And then when your body moves, that's closed chain. That's kind of like the simplest way to put it. I hope I'm making sense to y'all. It's kind of hard to explain without actually showing y'all. So examples of a closed chain movement would be a squat. So think of a squat. Your feet are stationary. You don't move your feet. All you're moving is your body up and down. So you're squatting at your hips and at your knees and just moves your body up and down, but your feet are stationary. So same thing with the lunge. Your lunge, your feet are going to be stationary on the ground and you're going to be lunging forward with your knees and hips again. Think of a push-up. A push-up. Your hands are stationary on the ground. They're not moving. What's moving is your body is moving up and down. So that's a closed chain. Or a pull-up. Your hands are fixed to the bar and then you're pulling your body up and down on the bar. So that would be closed chain. So kind of the easiest way to put it is if your hands or feet are what's moving to do the movement, that's open chain. And then closed chain will be like if your body is moving, that would be closed chain, if that makes sense. So like your hands or feet will be stationary, will be on a fixed point, and then your body will move. So I hope that kind of makes sense. I know it's kind of hard to explain. It don't really make sense. It's a lot easier to explain if I could walk you through it and show it. But I hope y'all got that. We're going to talk about some kind of the benefits of doing open chain movements and drawbacks of doing open chain movements and in what scenario would you use which one. So benefits of open chain movements are it isolates the specific muscles. So open chain exercises allow you to focus on and target a particular muscle group. So for example, a bicep curl will primarily engage your bicep muscle. So this is what bodybuilders will use most of the time to hit a certain group, a certain muscle group. If your goal is hypertrophy, then you'll use these open chain movements to target individual muscles. So it can target muscles for strength gains. Like these movements they're excellent for build muscle and strength in like isolated areas. Leg curls, leg extensions, bicep curls, tricep extensions, overhead shoulder press, lateral raises. So these are good like bodybuilding movements. They're going to build muscle, hypertrophy. That's what they're good for. So mainly your bodybuilders are kind of use these exercises to focus on one muscle group. So they want to build size. So some drawbacks of using open chain movements is they have limited functional carryover. So while you may gain strength in a specific muscle, like when you isolate that muscle, but that may not directly translate to like the real world, to real world activities that involve multiple muscle groups working together. You may be able to do a bicep curl with a lot of weight. You may be pretty strong, but that's not going to help you bend over and pick up something off the ground. It's not going to help you in the real world. It's not going to help you squat down to sit on the couch or stand up off the couch. And then another drawback is potential joint stress. Doing these isolated muscle movements can put a lot of stress on your joints, especially if they're not performed correctly with the proper form. They can put a lot of stress on your muscles, which will lead to injuries and joint pain, things like that. So that's open chain movements. Now going to closed chain movements, this is where your hands or feet are at a fixed point and you're moving your body for that resistance. So they're good because these exercises require coordination among various muscle groups, promoting balanced muscle development. These exercises are normally going to incorporate more than one muscle group. You're not isolating, say, your bicep or your tricep or your quad or your hamstring. You're going to incorporate multiple muscle groups at once. So this is good for like everyday activities. This is good for sports. A lot of sports workouts use these kind of movements. It improves your stability and your joint support. So closed chain movements, they often enhance joint stability due to engagement of multiple muscles and the body's connection with the ground. These are good like power cleans, squats, lunges. These are good functional type workouts. Good workouts for sports. They build a lot of strength. These are good for strength building, good for sports. So there is some drawbacks. To do these workouts, you need higher overall body strength requirements. So some closed chain movements like advanced push-ups or pull-ups, they demand a higher level of overall body strength and coordination. So some of these take more time to learn. They need more technique, more skill. These are probably more for your more advanced lifter than your beginner lifter. So they can require that extra like coordination, that extra practice, that extra time to learn how to do them correctly. And another drawback is less isolation of specific muscles. So if you're trying to get bigger in a certain muscle area, these are not the exercises for you. You can get stronger and they will help you, but it's not isolating that muscle like you need to put on the growth and the size that you want to see. They will engage multiple muscle groups at one time, but they may not isolate that specific muscle that you're trying to work like an open chain movement would. So if you want to build your arms, then some of these exercises are not the best to build your arms and put size on them. Will they put size on them? Will they make you stronger in your arms? Yeah, of course, but not as effectively as an open chain movement would, where you can isolate that specific muscle that you're trying to grow. So when it comes to tailoring these your individual goals and abilities, like which one should you use? If your goal is strength, depending on whether you're aiming for muscle development or strength gains, you can adjust the balance between open or closed chain movements. I would suggest you do both. Like you want to incorporate both into your training because it's going to help you put on that size, put on that muscle, but it's also going to help you in your everyday life routine, just doing normal activities. It's going to help you in your functional fitness. So if your goal is overall functional fitness, incorporating more closed chain movements can mimic real life activities. Another thing you want to think about is physical limitations. So injuries or restrictions, individuals with these certain joint issues, they might find closed chain movements more comfortable due to the added stability that they offer. So it may not put as much stress on a certain area of your body. So a closed chain movement may be better for that individual, depending on if you've had past injuries or restrictions. And then closed chain is good for rehabilitation too. They're often used in physical therapy as they can facilitate recovery by engaging multiple muscle groups in a controlled manner. Some ways to incorporate these movements is remember that variety is key. Including a mix of open and closed chain movements ensures a well rounded workout routine that addresses different aspects of fitness. And remember that you got to apply the progressive overload. So, gradually increasing weights and intensity in both types of exercises can lead to balance and consistent progress. So, I would mix it up. I would do both. If you have one specific goal, I would do whatever it is that your goal is. So, if your goal is strength, I'd probably do closed chain movements. Or if you're trying to lift for sports and you want to be more athletic, I would do closed chain movements. If you want to get bigger, I would do open chain movements. If you want to develop a certain muscle on your body, say your calves are smaller and you want them bigger, you would do a open chain movement for your calves. So it depends on what your goals are, and what you're trying to achieve. So if you're just trying to get bigger, put on some size, open chain. Trying to be more functional, trying to feel better when you bend over and things like that, closed chain movements. So it just depends. You can use both. I would definitely suggest using both. But if you have a certain specific goal that you want to do, I would lean more towards one or the other. But the key is in all these exercises is proper form and proper technique. So it's essential for safety. Emphasize how maintaining proper form during these movements is crucial. It's crucial to avoid injuries and to maximize those benefits. So you gotta practice these techniques, even if it's open chain or closed chain. Practice the proper technique, the proper form, especially if it's a closed chain movement, because you can get hurt. But that goes with any kind of working out. You can get hurt. You want to have the right technique when it goes to putting your body in these stressful situations. So yeah, that's about all I got for open chain and closed chain. Hopefully y'all understood what I was trying to say there. I know it's kind of hard to explain if you don't fully understand it. But again, just to reiterate, open chain movements or when in basic terms, when your limbs, like your arms or your legs, whatever's furthest away from your body, when that is moving, it moves freely. That is considered an open chain movement. So if you're using dumbbells or something to that effect, that's going to be an open chain movement because your arms are going to move freely. If you're doing a leg extension or a leg curl, your body kind of stays stationary and then your legs move to or from you. So that's open chain movement. And vice versa, a closed chain movement is when either your feet or your hands as furthest away from you, when they are stationary and then your body moves, that's a closed chain movement. So if you're doing a squat, think your feet are stationary on the ground and your body's moving up and down, that's going to be closed chain movement. Or if you're doing a push up, your hands are stationary on the ground and then you're pushing your body up and down. So that's going to be closed chain movement. So hopefully that makes sense to y'all. If you didn't quite understand these in the past, or if you didn't even know what they were, hopefully you learned some and you can apply it to whatever your goals are and help you achieve whatever that you're set out to achieve. And this should help you a little bit. Even if you don't fully understand it, you'll have a better idea of what you need to be doing and what you are doing in the gym because you're already doing these movements. If you're working out, you just may not have realized it. Hope y'all learned some. That's all I got for open chain versus closed chain movements. So we're going to hop into the motivational quote of today's podcast, which is, I'm going to keep it short and sweet today. The only bad workout is the one that didn't happen. It's the one that you didn't do. That's the only bad workout. There's no such thing as a bad workout if you actually did one, period. For example, that was me today. It took everything in me to get up and go to the gym this morning. I did not want to go. I was so tired. I contemplated and get back in the bed and go back to sleep for probably 30 minutes before I left my house this morning. But I finally convinced myself to get up and go do it because I knew if I didn't, I was going to regret it. And I didn't want that to happen. So I got my butt up. I went to the gym and I knocked out a good swim workout this morning before I got to work. And then after work, I went back to the gym and knocked out my weightlifting session. But I actually wanted to go then. So that was a lot easier for me. But I felt good about myself this morning at work because I knew that I did that workout. I got it done. I knocked it out and then set myself up to have a positive day, to help me have a successful day. Because I know if I would have had to go after work and swim, I would have been mad at myself. I challenge you, if you don't want to work out or if you don't want to go to the gym, just go for 5 minutes. That's all you need to do. Go to the gym for 5 minutes. That's so easy to go to the gym for 5 minutes. That's like, you ain't got to do nothing. Just go. And then what you'll find is if you're there for 5 minutes, you'll end up staying and doing something else. You'll be like, oh, I did one workout. Let me do one more. Then let me do one more. So just make yourself go. And I promise you, you will not regret it. There's never been a workout that I've ever regretted. And I think the same will go for you. Unless you like injured yourself or hurt yourself or something, that may be the only way you regret working out. But I hope you would be smarter than to push yourself to that limit. So yeah, the only bad workout is the one that didn't happen. That's what I'm gonna leave y'all with today. So y'all remember that. That's all I got for the podcast today, though. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. I enjoyed it. Hope y'all learned something from the podcast. We had a little educational type podcast today. Probably gonna keep doing some more. I know this is the fitness beginner podcast, so trying to spread the knowledge that I have with y'all as much as I can, so that y'all can learn something new too, all at the same time. But yeah, appreciate y'all tuning in. Y'all have a great rest of y'all's week. Peace, love, protein. We out. Thanks for tuning in to the Fitness Beginner Podcast. We hope you found today's episode helpful and inspiring. Remember to always start small, set realistic goals, and most importantly, have fun. Don't forget to tune in next week for more tips and advice on how to kickstart your fitness journey. Until then, stay active and stay healthy.